Churchill Chronicles, Audiobook number 1, Churchill, The Boat Train, written by Hayden W. Early in the morning, Wilfred woke up. This was the earliest time he had ever woken up. Today, the manager has tasked him with pulling the boat train. The boat train was a new passenger service added to the railway where an engine pulls a passenger train to the port so the passengers could go into a passenger boat. Churchill said something. "Hey, Wilfred, are you going to pull that boat train thing that the manager added to the railway?" Wilfred was appalled. He never knew Churchill was up so early. "Churchill, what are you doing up so early? Jeez, you nearly scared me," said Wilfred shockingly. Churchill said something again. "Oh, well, I actually don't really sleep." Wilfred said, "Like sure you do, Churchill." Wilfred never knew it was actually true. But really, how does Churchill do that? Never mind, let's continue the story. Anyways, Wilfred went to the first station and coupled up to the set of the 3 new bogie boat train coaches. The last one was built 5 hours before Wilfred woke up. They were very new. "Good morning," said the coaches. They all told him their names: Avery, Betty, and Caroline. "Those are nice names," said Wilfred. The coaches were happy to hear the compliment. "Thanks. I can't see your name from back here," said Caroline. Avery replied with, "It's Wilfred, Caroline." Wilfred was very happy. He thought his coaches were very pleasant. Once the passengers boarded and the guard blew his whistle, Wilfred set off. It was a great day. The birds were chirping. Wilfred was pulling a new train. He met new friends. Nothing could go wrong until, when he was halfway down the route, one of the points was set against him. Oh dear, said Wilfred, terrified. But suddenly, he stopped. Betty said, "Caroline, you saved him." When Caroline heard Wilfred yelling, she put her brakes on. She was the brake coach after all. "Thank you so much. I would have derailed," said Wilfred. "No problem. That's just what I do," replied Caroline. Wilfred continued moving so he could get to the port. When Wilfred was still going, Avery said, "That was really close." Betty replied with, "Agreed. You and Wilfred would have been derailed if it wasn't for Caroline." Caroline was happy that her sisters were singing her praises. She was also enjoying the smooth run Wilfred was giving. They were near the harbor now. "Look, guys," said Avery. "I can see the sea," replied Betty. Caroline started to speak. "You know, I'm glad to be a boat train coach, if this is what we will see every day." "I agree," said Wilfred. "It is truly great," said Avery. When they got to the harbor, they saw the clock on a pole. It said 12 p.m. "We made it," said Caroline. "And right on time too," said Betty. "Nice work, Wilfred," replied Avery. "Thanks a lot, you guys," said Wilfred. But he then replied with, "Hold on, is that the manager getting out of Caroline?" And indeed it was. The manager stepped down from Caroline's doorway and walked towards Wilfred. He started speaking and said, "Wilfred, I'm so proud of you and your coaches. Caroline really saved you there. If she didn't, well, who knows what would happen?" Wilfred replied with, "Thank you, sir, but did you say my coaches?" The manager smiled and said, Yes, I did, Wilfred, because since you did so well, the boat train is now yours." Wilfred and his coaches cheered in excitement. "Thank you so much, sir. Thank you." Wilfred was so happy, but then he saw people boarding a big 3-funneled ship called RMS Worcestershire. He decided to ask the manager a question. "Sir, I believe that is your ship you were meant to board, right?" The manager looked at him and laughed. "No, I came just so I could go fishing." He then ran off laughing. "Geez, your manager's a really funny guy," said Betty. Trust me, he really is, Wilfred replied happily. Rosalind then came to the port. Congrats, you lot. I'm proud of you guys. Wilfred said, Why, thank you. Should I turn around the train and go tell Churchill? Go for it, Wilfred, replied Rosalind. Wilfred turned around and started going back to the sheds with his coaches. When he shunted them into the carriage sheds, he started telling Churchill the story. She really saved you like that, said Churchill. Yes, indeed she did, replied Wilfred. Well, Avery, Betty, and Caroline, welcome to the railway. When Churchill said that, they all started ringing their bells happily.